Today, let's talk about what Wyman Manderly's true intentions are. For full disclosure, this is not my theory, but that of another sub that sent me an outline for what he thought was the true intentions of Wyman Manderly, and asked if I could make a video about it. I took his outline and researched more into his ideas to make this video, which I hope turns into more of a discussion video where you guys can put your thoughts on Wyman Manderly in the comments below. So thank you Rada for your theory. The Manderly book recap video would be helpful to watch before this video if you're a bit rusty on their actions and decisions in the books. Lord Wyman Manderly, the Lord of White Harbor, is an obese man too fat to sit a horse, so that when he travels, he has to go by barge and litter. He has 2 sons, one currently alive, a booming laugh, and is described as being a smart, cunning man by those that see past his front. Those who don't consider him craven and weak, partly because of how fat he is, and later because of the alliances he seems to make after Robb Stark is killed. Because of his perceived weakness, some don't care to work with Lord Manderly, and have little respect for him. But besides being the lord of one of the wealthiest houses in the north, a man that is so obese he's mocked, and the proud father of 2 boys, there's one big detail we know about him. He's a Stark loyalist. Or is he? Is this truly a jolly man that loves the Starks, or a scheming, calculating manipulator? When Wyman Manderly arrives at Winterfell for the Harvest Feast, it is clear he wants something. Even Sir Rodrik is suspicious of Lord Manderly's arrival, stating, "The feast makes a pleasant pretext, but a man does not cross 100 leagues for a sliver of duck and a sip of wine. Only those who have matters of import to set before us are like to make the journey." This assumption is proven correct when Lord Manderly starts talking about confirming the new customs officers he had appointed for White Harbor, as the old ones had been holding back silver for King's Landing, rather than paying it over to the new king in the north. Manderly wants it to be very clear whose side he's on, the North's. He also mentions that King Robb needs his own coinage, and White Harbor is the place to mint it, and that he would take charge of the matter himself. This could be Lord Manderly being practical. We've seen other would-be kings mint their own coins, and giving the North their own currency is a good idea. The new kingdom would need its own coinage, and that money would be used throughout the North. Do you really want to use the coinage from a kingdom that you had just rebelled against? But is there another layer to his offer? Is Lord Manderly seeking to move himself into a position of power? Robb doesn't even have a small council yet, but is Manderly trying to position himself as the future master of coins? Who would be a better choice than the man who mints your new kingdom's money? This would be a very strategic move for Wyman, and almost ensure that he had a place of power in the new power structure that is being established in the north. In the same conversation, Wyman would then offer to build Robb a war fleet. We have had no strength at sea for hundreds of years, since Brandon the Burner put the torch to his father's ships. Grant me the gold, and within the year I will float you sufficient galleys to take Dragonstone and King's Landing both. Was this offer his way of potentially securing another position, Master of Ships? Wyman knows his unique position. Even though houses on the other northern coast have trees, Lord Manderly and White Harbor seem to have plenty of shipwrights and sailors. We know this from when Sir Rodrik talks to the Umbers, telling them they need to work with the Manderlys because of this. Manderly could easily have ships built, and White Harbor would be the best and easiest place to man those ships. Pretty crafty. So now we see Wyman making what could be a very ambitious political move. Who best to become master of ships than the man who built all your warships, has the shipwrights to build and maintain them, and the sailors to man them? Is he making sure in this new kingdom his house has a place of great importance? Wyman also shows cunning in other areas. He seeks to marry Lady Hornwood, which would give him more control of the Hornwood lands that exist between House Bolton and House Manderly's territory, 2 houses that have little love for each other, which makes sense being so close. There have most likely been territory struggles between the 2. Though Lady Hornwood may not have control of the Hornwood lands, her husband might, especially one in the position of Lord Manderly. By bringing up marrying Lady Hornwood, it is likely Lord Manderly wants to test that potential and earn more land. But this whole marriage proposal is put on the wayside when Ramsay Snow seizes Lady Hornwood and forces her to marry him. This prompts Lord Manderly to take her castle and write to Winterfell saying he did it to protect the Hornwood holdings from the Boltons. But then why is Sir Roderick almost as mad with Wyman as he is with Ramsay? Because he knows there's more to what Lord Manderly did than simple honor and playing the chivalrous knight, protecting a lady's land? Was Lord Manderly trying to strike a claim on the Hornwood lands and saw Ramsay's action as a way of doing so and still appearing innocent? Then we can't forget Lord Manderly's plan to rescue little Rickon Stark. This could have been prompted due to Robb Stark being dead and Lord Manderly not wanting all his plans turned to dust. In this new order, where the Freys and Boltons have joined and the Boltons control the North, he might fear that a man that openly supported the Starks may not have a place in the new structure. Instead, he focuses on a new opportunity, rescuing a living male Stark to put back in charge of Winterfell. Rickon is a small child, and who knows, maybe his savior, the man that went out of his way to rescue the young Rickon, would then put him in charge of him through a regency. And regents have immense power, something we have seen in the Seven Kingdoms past and even in our own history. During the boy Targaryen rule, Aegon III, his regents had a lot of power, and they severely abused this power and fought with each other to gain more. We also can't forget the amount of wealth White Harbor has, the amount of men it commands, and Wyman's secret fleet he had built. If Wyman is able to put a Stark back in Winterfell, a boy, what better man to get the North back on the right track, defend Winterfell and the boy ruler, than Lord Manderly? He has the men, the ships, and the money. The North would also be hard-pressed to question the loyalty of a man that went out of his way to rescue their liege lord. We might even see Lord Manderly attempt to betroth one of his granddaughters to Rickon, furthering a Stark-Manderly alliance and cementing Lord Manderly's position of power. Now the big question, is Lord Wyman Manderly simply an ambitious, scheming man, trying his best to work his way into power? Since this is a discussion, I like to state that I, personally, don't believe so. I feel the more reasonable answer is that Lord Manderly might be a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. Loyal to the Starks, but also a cunning man that takes advantage of situations and tries to work them in his favor. Being loyal to the Starks and ambition don't have to be mutually exclusive. He can be a Stark loyalist and feel the same affection for the Starks his house seems to have. And he could also be a smart man that isn't against playing the right angles to get himself and his house more power, control, and in a better situation. Let's look at the evidence that Lord Manderly is in fact a Stark loyalist, and not a fair-weather bannerman, and using the Starks for his own ends. In the books, we do see, what appears to be, Lord Wyman's loyalty to the Starks. The first encounter that sticks out to me is Wyman's treatment of Bran Stark at the Harvest Festival. Bran Stark remembers that at the Harvest Feast, Lord Manderly laughed a lot, but never seemed to look down on Bran, or with pity like the other lords did. He seemed to respect Bran and his position without judgment. He could have been acting to butter Bran up so he could get what he wanted, but it seems as if Wyman had respect for Bran, and could appreciate another person in a position of power that is looked down on because some type of physical impairment. Wyman is very aware of what others say about his weight, the mockery, and his nicknames. Another big moment to me was when Lord Manderly, some of his family, a few Freys, and Davos Seaworth were all talking. When Rhaegar Frey calls the dead Robb Stark a vile dog that died like one, the court grows still. Davos feels the chill in the air and looks to Lord Wyman, who is looking down at Rhaegar as if he were a roach in need of a hard heel. Yet then, abruptly, Lord Wyman nods and agrees. A dog, aye. He brought us only grief and death. A vile dog indeed. Say on. If Wyman had no love or loyalty to the Starks, and was simply playing the game, why would the Frey's disrespect towards Robb Stark anger Wyman? So much that for a moment his mummer's farce is forgotten, until he gets control of himself again. We also have the matter of Wyman's granddaughter, Willa. She is an extreme Stark loyalist and is pissed when the Starks are talked down on. Who do we think she learned this fierce loyalty from? Did this little girl read the histories and decide for herself she would be extremely loyal to the Starks for what they did for her house? Or is it more likely Wyman Manderly taught her to respect and love House Stark and everything they did for their family? It would be likely that Stark loyalty is ingrained into the members of House Manderly, with every generation being told of how they came to the North and who they owe for saving their lives. The Starks took in a family far from their own region. They sheltered them and gave them land. The Starks, in a region that worships the old gods, even allowed the Manderlys to keep their own faith, the faith of the Seven. That is a pretty big move. And throughout the history we do know, the Manderlys would be wedded a few times to House Stark and show nothing but respect and loyalty to them. There's also Wyman sending Davos for Rickon, killing the Freys, and openly mocking them at Winterfell. If Wyman is the strategic mastermind playing the Starks to get power, this move is incredibly dangerous. He doesn't have Rickon yet. He has a rumor of where he is, but a rumor isn't control and isn't having the boy in his hands. Why would Wyman be murdering Freys and openly mocking them, showing he's not as loyal as he seems, before all his ducks are in a row? That isn't a man working the system to make sure his house rises in power. That seems more like a man fiercely loyal to the Starks and wanting to watch the men that betrayed them, in the process killing his son, burn. But you decide what you think Wyman Manderly's true intentions are. I choose to see him as a man loyal to the Starks, wishing to seek revenge for the death of his son, and also a man that has ambitions and perhaps made some moves for his own house's betterment. What do you think? Wyman Manderly, a convenient Stark loyalist reaching for power? Or a man that puts weight behind his words? The North remembers, and he's going to see a Stark rule Winterfell again. Again, thank you to Rada for the idea. I hope I didn't muck it up too much with my interpretation. If you have your own North theories, you are always welcome to message me. Next, we're going to be talking about Guess Right and delicious Frey pies. Make sure you like this video as it helps the channel out a lot, and come back every week for Game of Thrones videos.